This is a brief overview of delivery on the University of the Arts London Level 3 Diploma in Art and Design at the University for the Creative Arts at Canterbury. Once students have accepted their place, they are sent a holiday project entitled I Am a Painting. They present this in small groups to teaching staff in the first week or two on course, enabling us to gauge their skills on entry and offering them an opportunity for their first critique. This is assessed as part of Unit 1. Stage 1, most of which takes place in the first term, comprises the core units. Unit 1, Introduction to Visual Language, is delivered over the first 4 weeks of the course and is evidenced through a series of mark-making tasks. The focus of the rest of the unit is based on visual responses to Canterbury Cathedral, and students make 2 day-long location visits to generate sketchbook and photographic images. Students are introduced to scale, tone, texture, rotation, repetition and so on, and are encouraged to think about composition. As part of this process, they undertake one group task as well as developing ideas for a final composition to round off the unit. During these 4 weeks, they are also introduced to the other 3 core units: 2, Introduction to Research Skills, 3, Introduction to Critical and Contextual Awareness, and 4, Introduction to Materials, Processes and Technical Skills. Through sketchbook work and reflective journals running alongside Unit 1, they begin to generate evidence for these units through research into artists who are most relevant to their work. Unit 1 is assessed early in the process, although the fundamental elements continue to be built upon for the remainder of Stage 1. Evidence to contribute towards Units 2 to 4 are also noted. This is to familiarise students with the assessment process and pick up any problems that individual students may be experiencing early. This year we followed this assessment point with an evening for parents and students to discuss their work with us. At this time, their work is exhibited in the corridor spaces around the university's main gallery so that they can gain experience in showing their work early on in the course. The remainder of Stage 1 comprises a selection of project work aligned to the core units, which provides evidence for the assessment of Unit 4 just before the Christmas break. 2 London trips, one to the National Gallery, which relates to the transcription project, and the other, a suitable location to complement project work, normally take place during this term. There are 3 tasks which specifically relate to Units 2 and 3. A timeline spanning the period 1870 to the present day, the identification of 10 key works of the individual student's choice through art history with a 100-word explanation and justification for their choice, and a formal essay. Stage 2 covers Units 5, an integrated approach to 2D problem solving in art and design, Unit 6, an integrated approach to 3D problem solving in art and design, and Unit 7, an integrated approach to time-based problem solving in art and design. At this point in the course, project work is more closely aligned to the pathway specialisms offered in Year 2. Pathway leaders contribute towards the design and the delivery. Unit 9, Opportunities for Progression in Art and Design, is also introduced through a series of Tuesday lectures where staff and visiting artists talk to students about their own arts practice and career journeys.
The singer, Vicky, would you direct me? And there's just a section of the costume just over here, which you can see a little bit later when the lights are on. I worked on a lot of things for free when I first came out of uni, just to get experience, to be being creative, because I was working a cafe job and I did bits of running as well, and so to be able to just keep involved really. And
I was proposing to travel up and down the River Thames on both a boat, bicycle, foot and in a car as needs be, and make a portrait, make a document of the River Thames. I proposed to do this using a Super 8 camera, which I've been working with to document a lot of my performances. At the time, this is pre-digital, it's the cheapest way in which one could kind of make movies.
Students are required to document these lectures for Unit 9. Each week, the speakers are matched to the project. For example, the first Tuesday lecture comprised a visit to artist Billy Childish's studio and coincided with the fine art project looking at self-portraiture. After the fine art and visual communication projects, there is a formative assessment point for Units 5 and 6. Lens-based pathway leader John Dargan introduced Unit 7 to induct students into the processes of producing stop-motion animation. This was through a day project entitled Tony the Superhero, based on our own Tony Mott, where each student group produced 10 seconds of animation. This year we were invited to contribute towards the UNESCO Arts for Peace Festival in Hong Kong. As part of this live project, students were asked to respond to 5 aspects of peace at the heart of the festival theme: social, political, ecological, cultural and individual. Our 68 students worked in their groups to produce 2 one-minute animations on each theme. Former diploma student Taz Thomas came to provide us with valuable creative and technical support for the project. Taz is now working as an animator at Design Studio in London.
Story for it. What's the feeling?
It kind of starts off with this person is going to war in so we've got so he's showing his journey to work.
What's happening to him at work? Is this just him at work?
Yeah, he's just running, that's where he's going to sit, and then and this is the boss's room here. And these 2 are scene changes, so it'll be like quick, but this one camera to zoom in on this little blind window thing is the boss's room.
So these are just our establishing shots, so we're coming through, and then this is when we sort of get into the narrative.
Filmmaker Andrew Cotting, who is also a BA Fine Art tutor at UCA, helped our students come to grips with narrative and sound.
You can invent, whether it's a busy cityscape where the cars are passing, in terms of the sound design, already you can locate these characters very, very simply. They could be at an airport, they could be meeting, and all of that can be conveyed by the sounds of... Are these 2 characters meeting for the first time? Are they going to become lovers? Are they married and they're colliding on a very busy street because they hate each other? Are they sumo wrestlers that are about to kind of start a bout of wrestling? I mean, you can project any narrative you want onto that. That's the simple. It's about that narrative. That's what's going to tell the story.
It's about one individual and how just sort of her journey about not feeling in a very good place.
By yourself? Sweden, Russia. It's only up the road. Oh yeah, I was thinking you live...
kind of doing like rock, paper, scissors, and then sort of we've kind of got like a bad point of it and then moving on to a good point straight afterwards, kind of showing, going from like the negative to the positive piece.
Like, it's quite hard to hold your hands like this and hold them steady. So obviously we're saying if they're down, but also what I'm saying is it's actually easier for you to hold your hands up or to the side. That's how we're...
Do you want me to get the bomb stuff ready?
Just as with the lens-based project, a former student supported the surface pattern project, working as a graduate teaching assistant. As well as having completed his 2-year pre-degree course with us, Bobby studied for his degree at Epsom and has completed the first year of his postgraduate certificate in creative arts education with UCA. Bobby had also worked as an intern for Craig Green Menswear, and here he'd met David Curtis Ring, who spent a day with us. He delivered a lecture and spent a day giving students tutorials. This coincided with the installation of a show by Tony Mott, senior lecturer with the first-year extended diploma students. Tony's taught in Canterbury for 40 years, and through this and his accompanying lecture, students gain quite a different perspective on their tutor.
It might be better to talk about the work that I'm doing now in front of it. And when other people talked about their work, they often took me back to that time where you are now. And so those 6 pictures there is just a little bit after your time. Those were made when I was at the Slade doing postgraduate scholarship.
Following assessment for Units 5 to 7, students visited the Powell Cotton Museum at Quecks Park in Birchington, which was to provide the focus for their final major project. It has been customary to have at least one live project during the year, working in partnership with arts organisations across Kent.
Do you know about matchlocks? Right. Got a trigger and a spring just like most goes. But if you look at that long bar.
Yeah! Yeah, I'm UCA now. You're a UCA? I changed my mind at the last minute because I got like... No way! Yeah. Oh, I'm really pleased!
Well, I've drawn this, and this, and I really liked the idea of this shield. It's got patterns on it, so I take it into consideration.
Last year, students focused on the Curiosity exhibition at the Turner Contemporary Gallery in Margate as the thematic starting point for their work. But this year, the Powell Cotton Museum became the focus of Stage 3. As part of this, students are asked to prepare a proposal for their project. They were required to present their initial ideas for the work to Keiko and Sarah from the education team at the Powell Cotton Museum.
At once, and I started to think about how I could recreate this, and I started thinking about like creating new and like hybrid animals.
So I've decided to take inspiration from that and like draw up some ideas. Because I want to make like a piece, a wearable piece, rather than like a painting or something.
Really amazed at the diversity of ideas. I think it was interesting that a lot of them came from the similar themes like taxidermy, tribal art, but then the way they've taken it on completely different directions has been fascinating. It's been really eye-opening to hear some of the ideas that we're planning for Gallery 6, so it's great to hear about those, and I'm sure that I can incorporate some of the things that I've seen today and heard in the new gallery, so that's been brilliant.
This presentation is formally assessed as part of Unit 9. Other assessed elements for Unit 9 include a letter of application to Year 2, a formal CV, draft personal statement, reflections on professional lectures, and independent research into future course or employment options. This project coincided with our course leader Andy Malone's exhibition on birds and insects at the Beanie Gallery Museum in Canterbury, which linked closely to some of the project work.
Okay, thanks for coming down, folks. This exhibition is fairly self-explanatory. There's some blurb about it here. You can see the work. The Beanie asked me to do this exhibition. They invited me to do this about a year ago. They've seen my work elsewhere. And they've tied it in with an exhibition that's upstairs by Kate Maguire, which you're going to go and have a look in a minute, which is objects and installations made from feathers. And they decided to coincide this work with that work because they saw a connection there. So all of this work is mine, and the other thing that they wanted me to do was to bring things out of the vault of the Beanie. There's a big warehouse down in Gas Street, which is near the old Habitat roundabout, which is stacked from the floor to the ceiling with boxes and boxes of old stuff. So the stuffed birds around the room and the cases of butterflies and bits and bobs are from the stores of the Beanie.
This year, UCA hosted the University of the Arts London awarding body standardisation event. The year concludes with an exhibition of the students' work for the final major project. This mirrors the rest of the university activity at this time, and the private view takes place on the same evening as the degree and diploma shows across the campus.
You've got a good turnout.
Where was that?
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh my God, thank you.
Is that one the most bad?
Yeah.
Really strange.
It's a fantastic opportunity for students and their families and friends to celebrate their achievements on course.